I don't have any makeup on. I hope that's okay.
Oh, no, that's how you look fabulous. I have makeup on.
Everything will just flow down your face.
Yes, it's very hot and warm,
Yeah,
which is fabulous.
absolutely. Everybody ready?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to this special episode of the Golden Grotto Lounge podcast. We're here in the Caribbean in our lovely grotto. You have known for, I think, 11 episodes now. And for this episode, we brought along a special guest to join us here in this lavish setting. It is none other than actress Rachel Grant, who portrayed peaceful fountains of desire in the 2002 James Bond film Die Another Day. Rachel, thank you for coming.
Oh, wow. This is a wonderful grotto. Thank you for having me here. We finally get to meet and in such a beautiful location, might I add.
Absolutely. And we have drinks flowing by the gallon. What's your poison for tonight?
Oh, champagne, of course.
Champagne,
Always.
of course. Waiter, champagne for 3. Thank
The
you.
Bollinger, please.
Oh, that one. You heard that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Ah, they've got loads of it. Loads of it,
Oh,
obviously.
great. We should have
Yeah.
a bottle each.
Yes. Okay. It's going to be a long episode or short, depending. Also with us is my good friend and composer extraordinaire from Switzerland, Yannick, who is also in the process of doing a game. We've done a podcast on this before, but today we're, of course, here to speak to Rachel about her experiences on the set of Die Another Day. Rachel.
So ask away, yes.
How did you end up in that beautiful film?
I know, like, how lucky am I? Like, I realize now how lucky I am more than ever before. I get to talk to you. I get to do great things like travel around the world and still live that role. I'm being serious. It's amazing. And when I filmed this in 2002, wow, that's over 22 years ago, little did I know I would still be speaking about it so many decades later. I feel so lucky. Yes. So I simply auditioned for Die Another Day on, it was a Thursday I auditioned, or no, I'm forgetting myself now. It was either a Wednesday or Thursday. I'll have to look back at my notes. I think it was a Wednesday I auditioned for Die Another Day. And by the following Monday, I was on set with Pierce Brosnan, James Bond himself. Now, that doesn't usually happen so quickly, particularly for like a big production like Die Another Day, James Bond film. But my agent called me up one day. No, it was a Wednesday she called me, and I auditioned on the Thursday, so it's even shorter. She said to me, we have a last minute casting for Debbie McWilliams, that's who it was, and you have to go to Eon's production office. It wasn't a casting suite or studio, it was actually the production office, and I believe it was in Mayfair. I have the location somewhere in London. And they want to cast a role like ASAP, like so quickly, she said. So you need to be ready. We can't give you any lines or they give you no information whatsoever. And they told me just to get there like 10 minutes before, and somebody would hand me information. And I was not to take it away. I was not to take any pictures. They are so, so strict. And that's what makes it so cool as well. It's also secretive. And oh yeah, it was so exciting. So I was so excited. I knew 2 things. I knew that the lady I was auditioning for was working for, was Chinese, or she was Chinese intelligence or something like that. I knew that. And that was about it. So that was the only information I had. And I decided to put on my little Chinese dress. I had like a nice, not like overtly Chinese, just like a Chinese cut. I still have it today and I still can get into it. I should have pulled it out. I found it recently. I kept it. I love it so much. I will never give it away. So I put it on. It fitted me very nicely, and I waddled along to Eon Productions, and it's a really beautiful building inside. You know, I went in and there was a little like foyer reception area. They wouldn't let me through the big doors yet, but I sat there and someone handed me, it was a sheet of paper with it was on 2 sheets of paper, And the name was there. Peaceful Fountains of Desire actually happened to be there, the name. It wasn't like there wasn't some other name there. And I sat next to a very pretty young Korean actress, and we started talking to each other. And she told me that she'd already been cast in a role in the movie, but they'd had a change of scene, and her scene had been removed, but she was getting another opportunity to audition for this next role. So when she told me that, I thought, oh, how bad. I felt so bad for her. And then I thought, I felt terrible. Imagine that could have been me. But I thought, oh, she's probably the likely candidate then for this role. If they've already cast her, she's here. So she went in before me. So I thought, oh, she probably has the job. So that's hers. Good for her that she could probably get it. But I wanted to make sure I could give it my best shot. And I thought, if I don't get this role, I want them to remember me. So I had a secret weapon stashed in my bag that I brought, literally a secret weapon. I actually have it in the next room. Let me just get it. 1 second. I'm gonna come back. 1 second. Here we go. I am back. So I actually brought these. These are the actual nunchuckers that I brought into the audition. So I walked in. I had to stand out somehow. It was like a page and a half of scene, and my job was for them to remember me. Not so much for this role. I was like looking at I want to be in a Bond movie one day, and I had auditioned actually for this movie here.
Oh, for Tomorrow Never Dies. Really?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, like so young, like for Michelle Yeoh's part, they a lot of. I had like a preliminary casting for it, and then they ended up getting Michelle Yeoh. But yes, so that's interesting because that's before Die Another. I'll speak about that later. So I walked into the audition, and Debbie McWilliams was there. A beautiful room with a big chandelier hanging above me right there. I could see it, all crystals and what have you, and it was really nice, and you really could tell that you were in a James Bond place. So that was great. And then she was just fiddling with the camera, and she was filming it herself. She was just there by herself. There was nobody else there. It was just Debbie McWilliams. She was recording, and that's quite different from usual auditions and what have you. So before I did my lines, I said, oh, Debbie, Miss Williams, Mrs. Williams, I must have said something like that. I said, is it okay if I give you a little martial arts demo? It's very kind of Bond girl, and I could do something really cool. I promise you it will take like 30 seconds. So she said, of course. So I started twirling these around, and I was so good at it back then. I'm still good now, but I was like really, really good. I was like swinging through my legs, and I was like twirling them up above, and I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to hit the chandelier? Anyway, she just stopped me. She said, hang on a second. And I was like, whoops. And she said, I have to get this on film. So I did a demo that Debbie McWilliams filmed, and it lasted like a couple of minutes. Like I did a really good demo. I think I even had double nunchuckers. I actually took out more. When she suddenly said, I have to get this on film, that was that. So I did this martial arts demo, and then I did my lines. I did the scene, and she made me do it like 2 or 3 ways. And then she made me do it in different, different tones and style. And I felt really, really good about it, and I wasn't really thinking so much about the role because I obviously wasn't sure and I wasn't, I'm not Chinese. I'm half Filipino, but with my hair up and a Chinese dress, I could be like British, Chinese, what have you. So that was that. So audition done, and it was Saturday morning, and it's very rare that you get a call on a Saturday morning from your agent unless it's like an emergency or something's happening. And I remember being at an event for the launch of some car in Hendon in North London. I think it was the Mercedes SLK. Was it Mercedes SLK at the time? I don't know. I used to go to like some car events and things. So it was just a little showroom. And I remember at the time my phone rang. It was like 11:30. Somebody handed me a glass of champagne. Literally. Oh, I've been just talking about champagne. Somebody handed me a glass of champagne as the phone rang, and she tells me that I got the role in the James Bond movie as I have a glass of champagne in my hand. Like, how weird is that? So that was that. I could not believe it. I was ecstatic. And I was also quite professional too, because you don't know if you're going to end up in the film or not. So you always have to be like quite careful. It was exciting. And I didn't know, like, yeah, I wasn't really sure whether or not the role I auditioned for would be that. And then Monday morning I had a taxi that brought me to Pinewood Studios, to the 007 stage. And hey, I meet Lindy Hemming. I assume you know who Lindy Hemming is. I
Yeah.
went there for my fitting, and she looks at me and she went, darling. And she remembered me because I'd worked with her before. I was a body double for Angelina Jolie on Tomb Raider, and
Hmm.
she was the costume lady.
Oh,
And
wow.
yes, and she looked at me and she said, I took one look at the name. I knew who you were. And she went, darling, you have gone from body double to Bond girl. And when she said that, I just was like, wow, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it was her. You know, she's so nice and she's so good at what she does.
Yeah.
So she had bought these 3 dresses she had them ready there. She knew me quite well because she'd fitted a lot of clothes on me, but she had these dresses there, and she she made me try them all on, and it was more about the color. She got the dresses to be quite big, and she tailor made them for me. So that's how I came about having a beautifully fitted dress on myself. They were dresses from Shanghai Tang. They cost around, I'm telling you all this for a reason. They cost around, I remember the price tag on it was around £1,300. They came from Bond Street in London, around Bond Street. Was it Bond Street or Regent Street? I remember because I actually went to the shop afterwards to look at the dresses that I'd worn. I actually did that, because they were on sale, and they were about £1,300, which is about $1,500. And I'm telling you this for a reason, because obviously I did not get to keep that dress, but and I've been looking for that dress for the last 22 years. Like,
Yeah, but you found it. You found it.
I
I know.
found
Last
it.
time we spoke, you said you
Yeah,
found it. There it
found
is.
the dress.
Oh,
Found
yes.
it in a thrift shop. Every like 2 years I go online and I look for Shanghai Tang fuchsia dress silk 2002, and I never have found it. And for some reason, like 3 months ago, I decided to look at it, and lo and behold, in a thrift shop, that's a secondhand shop in Seattle, I find this dress, and I can't believe it. And I bought
Incredible.
it for, I forget how much, like $250, but it's like a bargain, really. And it's silk and it's beautiful, and I'm so thrilled with it. So can you believe it? I have Peaceful's dress. I don't know, for some reason I just needed to have it. And it does fit. It might need tweaking in certain areas, but it's perfect. And
But
I'm
I really
really
wonder, I really wonder if it found its way from the production office somehow to that thrift shop. I
no,
mean,
I don't.
sometimes things get lost at Eon Productions and they
Right.
find their
No, I
way
think
into exhibitions and
maybe
stuff.
that's
Maybe.
what. Well, I know that this hasn't been altered, and I know that Lindy Hemming did alter it.
Alter it for
So
you. Yeah. Mm.
I know, and they kept my shoes and obviously my hairpiece and the flower in my hair. So I need to like get the rest of that costume together, get the right earrings, because I would like to wear her again at some point. Like, if someone told me 22 years ago, one day you will be wearing a costume looking like her again, I'd be like, yeah, right. But I can't believe it. So yeah, that was my story. So I worked on the 007 stage on the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I was on set for those 3 days. So after my costume fitting, I went to meet Pierce Brosnan on set. And then, we worked our way around the set and did some practice and rehearsal on the Monday, and we were filming on the Tuesday and Wednesday. And it was really, really amazing, I have to say. And on one of the days, Halle Berry was supposed to shoot a scene. It was on Tuesday, on one of the days, Tuesday afternoon, but they went over my scene, so she was sent home. I always remember that. Yeah, she came in and then she had to go home because they went over on the scene that we were filming. But it was a really, really beautiful set. I know it looks beautiful on film, but it was really beautiful, and every little detail, even things that you don't see. the smallest prop or ornament in the corner, every single thing has like a reason and something interesting in it. Like the prop in the corner, if you pick oh, you can't pick this stuff up because they're constantly polishing, has like a little camera inside. It's not being like used or anything like that, but it's there and that's there, and everything's so perfect. It's so nice. I've worked on lots of different productions, and when you have like a movie like James Bond, that's so good quality, and everybody that is around you is doing their thing, and they're just experts at what they do. It's really amazing. And Pierce Brosnan is so nice, and he is such a big movie star, and he really gave me time of day and spoke to me, had time to talk to me, was very lovely, so down to earth, and I really cannot rave more about him. And so handsome in real life too. He really does look good in real life, and he still looks good. So
yeah, at 71. Yeah.
it's amazing. He looks great. And it's funny because growing up, my mother had a huge crush on him. If I could say that, Mummy. I can't believe I said that. She used to watch Remington Steele.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Didn't we
Yes.
all?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So I knew that show. I was a little girl, and I remember thinking, oh, yeah, he's really nice looking. I remember
Mhm.
thinking that, yeah. But I always loved Bond movies growing up because in England, they always played them a lot. They were very, very popular. So the Bond that I kind of grew up with on my TV screen, I was watching Bond movies from quite a young age, like maybe like 9 or 10 or even younger. I don't know, but I loved them, and I really looked up to the women too. I thought they were strong. I remember Grace Jones, she was strong and she's powerful, and they had guns and stuff. They were like, yeah, I love James Bond. It was I always did. My father loved Bond, so we always had Bond movies on TV in the house, and they played them a lot in England. So it was lovely. It really is a wonderful film franchise. I'm so lucky to be part of it. I really am. I really can't. I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I've been able to like get into charity work and do things with photo signings and like videos I record for people. So it's just been amazing. Yeah, it's just nice. Anyway, I will talk too much. Ask me a question.
Yannick, you go ahead. Yannick, you are always full of questions. So you
Yes.
go
Yes,
first.
there was so many things popped in my head, but I'm trying to go with maybe the most important I can think of is you just said, you grew up with the Bond movies, and so which actor did you grow up with? Was it Roger Moore, or which one was
Yes, so did I not say that? I meant to say that.
No,
Yes, it was Roger Moore. Roger Moore was my Bond growing
yeah.
up.
Hmm.
So yes, he was my Bond. My knowledge of Bond, I meet Bond fans a lot, and their knowledge of Bond movies is incredible. Like I don't have that knowledge. Maybe I should have it more. But the more Bond fans I meet, the more I like get it more. The more I think, wow, yeah, this is all about the lifestyle. It's not just about movies. It's like this bigger picture, and it's like it's so interesting. It's fascinating. So I feel so, yeah, again, I just feel so lucky. And the things that I've done with the whole Bond thing, for some reason, I have this out here. I was giving a online talk this morning, and I happen to have this out for another reason. But I was lucky enough once to go to Jamaica. I had an opportunity to stay at GoldenEye. And I remember because I was writing for, I write sometimes for various travel magazines, and I'd written to GoldenEye to ask if I could have like a media rate or a slightly reduced rate because I was writing for this magazine, Travel Life. And they were so kind. I told them I was in a Bond movie. They got back to me and they told me that I could stay. Like
Nice.
complimentary. Like they were so nice. That place is so beautiful. It's so good. I can't find this article that I wrote, but I have quite a good article in here. Oh, that's the wrong magazine. What am I doing? But I got to meet I went to look at Ian Fleming's original home in GoldenEye.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I went to the
it's
James
on my
Bond
bucket
beach.
list.
Look, I went to the James Bond beach. Yeah, a really good tip. I know they do it's very expensive to stay in the James Bond house. But if you're a group of people, because sometimes they have bachelor parties or parties, you can get like a group of people and you could probably rent it out. But it's lots of fun. and you will not regret it. But why am I showing you this here? Oh, yes. So this man here, Ramsey, do you know who he is? I don't know if he's still alive. He called himself Ian Fleming's houseboy when he was 17 years old. So
Yeah.
I went boating with him. It was just me and him together. We went fishing, and he had so many stories to share about Ian Fleming.
Mhm.
Yeah, so many. Yes.
Does
And
anyone spring to your memory? Did you remember one? You know, like specifically one that
yes, he
springs
used
to
to tell
mind?
me that Ian Fleming used to lie on the beach with no clothes on.
Ooh, saucy
And
detail.
he used to sit in his, but the beach was empty. But he said, I used to see him, and he laughed so hard when he told me that every day, lying there, no clothes, everything there, and he would be reading, sitting there, but it's an empty beach, and it was his little spot, I suppose.
It was
He
private
always
even,
called
I think.
him-
It was his private beach, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
Mm.
He even called it command. He called him commander. He'd never called him. It was always commander. Oh yeah, commander would sit. He even showed me the spot where he would sit and laugh. And he was 17 years old at the time. Ramsey was telling me, and he told me that the other lady that worked with him was called Violet. But I remember thinking, oh, that's like that was his housekeeper or somebody that worked with him. And I remember thinking, oh, that's like a good Bond girl name or something like that. I don't know. I just remember thinking that. What else did he tell me? He had all sorts of funny stories. A lot about the history of the place too, because I believe the plot of land used to be like a place where donkeys used to race. That's what he told me. Yeah, that's GoldenEye used to be like a racing track for donkeys.
Yeah.
Apparently.
It must have been a lively place because Fleming had Noel Coward over most evenings.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that is another good thing to do. So if you go there, his place is called, I think, Firefly. If you go there, it's beautiful. Noel Coward's home is really worth a visit. It's exactly how it was when he passed away. It's very, very well maintained. It has a beautiful view, and they were very good friends. You can see the distance. It's very quite close. And do you know that there's an airport there called Ian Fleming International Airport?
Yeah.
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 So you have to go past that because it looks great.
So see, Yannick, if you can rent it for a bachelor party, one of us has to make this sacrifice.
I think we'll figure this out. Yes, no problem.
We figure this out. One of us has to get married, and then we can throw a bachelor party, and we've
just
got
throw
all our friends. Yeah, and Rachel.
Yeah, we got this.
Rachel along as well.
Benjamin, you can throw a party when you turn 30.
Oh wow!
Oh, thank you very much.
That's something for the ego. Wow, that
was over a decade ago. We're well past that. but there's the 50, and each year I say I started with 30. I said when I turn 30, I make a party for 30 guests and I will sing 30 songs. Then I said when I turn 40, it will be 40 guests and 40 songs. And now the next one will be the 50. I don't even know that many people.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's fantastic. You sing, Benjamin?
Yes. My neighbors hate it.
Oh, really?
They do, yes. But yeah, not professionally. But I will sing at a wedding on the 10th of August. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good. You must be very
good. I will sing Pavarotti. That will be.
Which one? Which one?
Nessun Dorma.
Oh, we need to sing it. I sing some opera. We need to sing together.
See, totally new ventures. And Yannick is a composer. He can write a song for us. Not to put too much pressure on you, Yannick, but
GoldenEye rendition of Pavarotti. Exactly.
I think never had opera in a Bond movie.
Oh, they did. In Quantum of Solace, they had an operatic segment in Bregenz in Austria, in the opera.
God,
yes. And they had Aida. Aida was in there. Yeah. It was really good. It was a really good sequence. The film was rather bad for my taste. It was way too fast-paced and cut in a very fast way, action style. It was the shortest Bond movie, but the opera scene was really, really, really good.
Oh,
That was
very
a
nice. That's one of the Daniel Craig movies I have not seen yet. That's on my
Mhm.
list, to-do
You
list.
haven't missed anything. Let me tell you right away.
Oh, yeah,
Woohoo!
Yannick loves
No.
Daniel Craig to
You
death.
know what? You know what? It's so great to have you, Rachel, because I need to have people to talk to. I mean, Benjamin and I are in the same, kind of way when we think about Bond movies. I mean, we grew up on Pierce Brosnan, with
Yeah.
GoldenEye. And
Oh, by the way, I love GoldenEye. Do you
oh,
know
thank
that?
you. Oh, how nice.
I love it. Do you know, I was ripping tickets in a movie theater when GoldenEye came out,
Oh,
and it was a Thursday night. They had that special premiere screening. The the auditorium was packed, and that music started, and then this opening sequence happened. And when he flies into the plane, the whole audience roared with excitement and like laughter. I I just could not believe Bond was back. I was blown away. And I watched that movie. I must have seen it 50 times.
wow.
I
Wow.
loved it. I loved it. Yeah, because I was ripping tickets at a movie theater when I was a
Yeah.
teenager for that movie. So
Mhm.
yeah, I
And you
loved
could
it.
go see it after you did the tickets. Went to see it.
No, so I'd be standing there as people were coming in. Yeah, and I'd sit at the back. But I just
Mhm.
remember I could not sit at the back. I was standing up and watching it. I was on the edge of my seat. And at the edge of my seat, I was on the edge of the thing at the back. I can't explain it. It was at Bayswater Cinema in near Notting Hill Gate in Bayswater in London. And I worked there for about 2 years. And I remember when it came out, I couldn't believe, because it was the first time there was a Bond movie in a long time, if I
Yes,
remember.
exactly.
And it was so exciting to me because it'd been such a big part of my younger years, like really young. Like I was really like under 10, and then suddenly my teenage years, there was a bit of a gap, and then for new Bond movies, and then GoldenEye came out. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great. And with
Yeah,
Pierce
anyway,
Brosnan, like, we
I
agree with you. We love
I
Pierce Brosnan.
interrupted you.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not a problem. But I was wondering, Rachel, if after Die Another Day, I mean, I'm gonna be, very honest and straight. For me, Bond ended after Die Another Day. I mean, what came after with Daniel Craig, it's just not my cup of tea anymore.
Really right, yes.
Yeah, it's too much out there, and it's too much family drama and all this stuff, as opposed to just an agent getting his mission and
Oh,
going on
right.
and so on. But anyway, and I was wondering, did you follow the whole Bond franchise after you had your stint on it?
Yeah, so that's interesting because it kind of like stopped there.
Mhm.
Once you've been in something, then it's like, oh, I have to kind of move on and put it behind me. And I was like suddenly involved with it. But that changed after like a few years. Like I love it. Like it's become such a big part of who I am and the people I know and all the Bond girls and the other actors. But I did kind of I can't explain. I didn't follow it as much because I'd been part of it. And also like it changed so much, I felt. But
Yeah.
I have seen Casino Royale and I do like Daniel Craig. I think he's a great actor. I happen to have seen yeah, some of the opening sequences and some of the action scenes I've seen, like when I've been on, I had a child 3.5 years ago, so I've been quite busy. So when I've been on an aeroplane, I've noticed nowadays if you go on a plane, I forget which airline it is, they have like a whole section of all the Bond movies. And I
Mhm.
really want to get through them. And I heard this movie, you know who that is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
George on Her Majesty's.
George
Yeah.
Basis. I met him and worked with him on an event in Australia about 10 years ago. He's
no.
Yeah, he's so great. I got so lucky. I got a call from my convention booker, and she called me up one day. Oh, a Bond girl has dropped out of an event in Australia, and they need to find a replacement immediately. They can't find one. Would you be willing to go? And I'm like, go to Australia? I've never been. And well, yeah. So I did. I got really lucky. So I had an all expenses paid trip to Australia, and I was with him for about a week. And he's great. Oh my gosh, he's so funny, Mr. Lazenby. He had so
Mm-hmm.
many stories. He told me that when he was James, can I talk about him a little bit?
Oh, you can.
I'm sure you might know some of these stories, but he was telling me when he became James Bond, he was James Bond. He could do anything he wanted, right? He said he used to carry like a gun around sometimes. And there was one time he was walking around in the street and he would be shooting at the lampposts Have you heard that?
In Switzerland,
Yes,
yes.
I think that was the story after which they fired him.
Oh, yes. Well, he told me he thinks that he might have not been used again because he used to have these big parties, he said. And they were all on the expense of the James Bond team production. And he would invite a lot of people. But he said it was so much fun doing James Bond. And he loved being James Bond. He really did. And yeah, I really have to see this movie because I've heard it's great.
It
Oh,
is. It is. It is a very, very, very good film. Yes, with very good music and the locations, of course, in Switzerland. It is fantastic. It's long, but story-wise and from the way it is made, it is superior to a lot of other films. Yeah.
really? And how do you, because it was made in like 1968 or 9, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, and how do you find him as James Bond?
It was a solid performance. He was not made to be an actor, I think, because otherwise he would have done more, also aside from Bond.
Right.
But I always say when cases like this arise, the actors do the best with what they are given. And he was given a lot, but they put Diana Rigg on to his side to have somebody to make up for his missing acting experience, you know. But I think it was a solid performance. It is a bit ruined by him having a different voice because he's impersonating someone for half of the film and he speaks in a different voice. But otherwise, I find it's solid. The run-ins I personally had with George were not so pleasant, but
really?
Yeah, that's just sometimes it happens, you know.
Right. Yes. Right. Well, I think he's he's, I don't know how old he must be now, in his 80s, I would say.
Pretty sure, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I actually have a couple of things to show you. I should have mentioned them to you.
Please do. You arrived with a
I
big
was telling you a
suitcase. I was
story.
wondering what that was for.
I know, that's right. Because I talk too much sometimes and I move on to the next thing. Anyway,
No,
It's a
interesting.
podcast.
I was
Hey,
talking
yeah.
about Lindy Hemming. So I was
Yes.
working on the James Bond movie and I was telling you how strict they were about anything. I had to return absolutely everything. You know, so when I was doing the Bond movie, they obviously, my last day I had to return everything. She came into the room, she took my hairpiece, my costume, everything, and I gave her my tights and underwear. You know, I had to literally return everything. She took my bra because, you know, you have certain types of underwear that you use for certain, there's a certain, I can't explain it. It has to be smooth. It has to be so that you can't, it has to be like seamless. So she took that, and my tights and other underwear, she tossed into the bin, into the trash in my dressing room. And then she left. And then on my way out, I remember just thinking, oh, shall I take my stockings? Shall I take my stockings? And I decided to. I
Really?
did. Yes, and I took my stockings and my underwear, and here are my stockings that I wore in Die Another Day. And I'm so pleased I have this little memento. And I am actually going to frame them because they do get seen in the movie. Because if you remember, Pierce Brosnan, he lifts up
Yes.
my dress and they are there on display. So I actually bought a frame for it recently, and I was hoping it would be ready for today because I was going to do a little unveiling, but it's not ready. I'm sorry, but I do have it. And it, you know, I took a screenshot of the stockings and the tights, and it's pretty good. Yeah, you can tell
Yeah.
it's this.
And you know what? It's so cool to see you with so much passion for this, because I mean, in productions, you see so many, you know, actors and people who work in these movies that basically just go like, well, it was a role, it was a job, and I moved on and did other things. And
Yeah,
to see you
that's
think about it
right.
with so much passion, that's so great, really.
You know, I am like that with most things in my life. I seize the moment. I really do. Everything, I could tell you everything about every little ornament I have here. I collect a lot of things. I'm like a hunter-gatherer. I love to travel. I love to keep little mementos and things. And I have other things to show you. So after I finished Die Another Day, like about a month after, and I'd been to the wrap party. Oh, it was an amazing wrap party.
Oh, yeah.
And I got sent this, and I'm so pleased with it. I've never worn it, but I got sent a cast and crew little jacket, and love it. And I've kept it safe to this day. Die Another Day, cast and crew. Oh, and it was, oh yeah, it was the 40th anniversary, wasn't it?
It was.
Mhm.
It was. Yeah. Mhm.
So I have that. And then when I went to the premiere and I brought my mummy with me, and I'm really glad I brought my mummy because most people bring their boyfriends or other halves and you don't end up with them eventually, or sometimes it's kind of short-lived. So my mother, I'm thrilled I brought my mother. And in the goodie bag of the premiere, I got one of these,
Oh, nice.
Very
right?
cool.
I made a
Mhm.
joke
The
once that
car. Mhm.
they should sell them without any car inside, and then it would be the disappearing car inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Invisible car.
so I have
Yeah.
that, and there were 2,300 of them. I wonder how much it's worth. Not
Fantastic. Yeah.
And
To
then this
vanquish.
was also in the goodie bag, which is funny because Swarovski crystals were one of the sponsors, I think, of the
Mhm.
movie, because
Yeah.
Rick Yun, if you remember, had all those
Mhm.
crystals in his face. So they have belly buttons in here. I actually have worn these. These are so cool. One of them's missing. I put it somewhere. But the reason why I like these is for some reason, as a little girl, I remember, what movie was it? Remind me. Roger Moore is kissing
Ah,
somebody's belly
Mhm.
and then grabs a jewel from her belly button.
Mhm.
And I thought it was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I really did. And to this day, I remember it. And every time I see that, I think of that one thing. Every time I see a
Yeah.
jewel in a belly button, I think of that. What movie
Mhm.
was that? Was it
That's the man with the golden gun.
Oh, the man
Yeah.
with the golden gun.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. So for
Yeah.
some reason, I remember that. And then what
Yeah.
else can I show you? Oh, this was also in the goodie bag. This. It's a little t-shirt and it's got Swarovski crystals on it
That's
too.
nice.
I know
And
what you
it
mean.
was the first premiere in the Albert Hall, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. The Queen
Mhm.
attended. Oh
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Queen attended. And obviously the movie had so many well-known people in it, from like Madonna was also in it. So she was there, and there were so many people that went. It was such a big premiere. It was huge, and it had the longest, I've been to so many premieres. It had the longest red carpet I've ever seen in my life. And they had crowds and crowds of people there, and it was amazing. And I really wasn't sure if I was going to be in the movie, or how, well, actually, Lee Tamahori told me I was in the movie, but I didn't know like how, if it was what was in it, whether it was just me and all my lines were cut, or whether you would just see me. I wasn't sure. So when there was a knock at the door and it was me and Pierce, I was like, I couldn't look. And I was telling my mum, is it finished yet? Is it finished yet? I really did not look up at myself. I covered my eyes in the movie because I just could not watch. And I actually was surprised at how long this scene was, I think. I
Mhm.
wasn't sure because I remember Lee Tamahori had me walking all the way to the bed, and he had me from my back and from my front. And I'm like, yeah, they film so much and then it won't be used.
Mm.
And I actually couldn't believe that they actually used that whole walk. And then even when I walked away, I remember they filmed my back and I was like, oh, there you go. You can see my back. You can see my bum. I remember thinking that. I, I remember thinking that. I was like, is it over, mummy? Is it over? I was next to my mummy. Can you believe that? Oh my
So
God.
what was her reaction to
Oh,
your
I mean, my mum's my biggest fan. I mean, of
Mm.
course, right? Oh yeah, she loved it. She was, yeah, it meant a lot to her because my mother growing up, for me and my mother and my two sisters, I'm the middle of three sisters, we were always performing. We were on stage and she was our seamstress. She made our costumes. She did everything for us. So we were performing a lot of shows, singing and dancing all the time and acting. So it was like she was getting her reward there too for doing so much. So it meant a lot to bring her to that premiere. So that was nice, yes.
And
And
actually, yes, Benjamin, go ahead, please.
before we move out of that, you are, I seem to remember, related to the late Queen, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I am related actually fairly closely. Oh, I should have brought out my newspaper clippings that said Bond girl, the prince's cousin, the Bond girl. Yeah, there was a lot of
Yeah.
stuff on it. So Glamis Castle is a castle in Scotland.
Yeah.
And this was Mary Strathmore. She gave me this. I did actually a photo shoot for Hello magazine here. She gave me this in 2002 when I went to visit to do a photo shoot around James Bond. My great grandmother grew up, she spent her summers here. She spent a lot of time here, grew up with the Queen's mother. They were first cousins. So this was a home for them at one time. The Queen mum, the Queen's mother, and my great grandmother. Yes. So that makes me
Fantastic.
related, like we're like third or fourth cousins, I
Yeah.
think. Oh, my father is third cousin to the King of England. Yes. Yeah, that's how it
Are
goes.
you a royalist?
I have a painting of the Queen, you know, when after she passed away.
So have I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I decided
Yes.
to have a painting done. I don't know why. For some reason, she'd always been around my entire life. And I remember my grandmother telling me that she'd always been there and she'd never faltered. I always remember in her words, if they are her words, never complain and don't explain. Yeah, don't complain and don't explain yourself. So, yes, she's gone now. So that's that.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a painting of her. I had it done after she passed away.
Yeah, me too. I had it done sort of 2 weeks
Really?
after or something. Yeah, it's in the kitchen, so every morning when I get my coffee, I can look at the Queen, and that's
Sing a
a nice
song.
memento. Yeah, yeah, and
Gotta
sing a song. Yeah, God
gotta
save the
sing a
Queen. Yeah,
song.
obviously.
Yeah,
Yannick,
God save the
Yannick,
Queen.
you had another question?
Yes, I have two questions related to actually Dine Out a Day. Maybe one to get back to Tomorrow Never Dies. The first question I wanted to ask about Dine Out a Day that I was still wondering, was there actually more filmed than was in the movie, or was what we see in the movie pretty much it? It was all that was filmed.
Yes, it pretty much was all that was filmed.
Mhm.
And yes, amazingly, yes, because I've done scenes and we filmed them to death, and you know they make it so short. So I was saying I was so surprised. Like if I were to pick an edit, I would never have believed in my wildest dreams that it would have been that. He had me walking back and forth, and yeah, it was very much, you know, that Pierce kisses me in it, right? And that's not written. I didn't even expect him to be like putting his arms around me.
Mhm.
You know, we like just did this scene and that's what happened. And I think if you look at my face, just as he kisses my, I think it's my ear. I used to joke saying my ears were pierced. That's like a really bad joke. My ears were pierced. Right? He kind of kisses my ear. If you look at my face, I see it. You can tell I flinch a little bit, but you know, that's all part of the scene and the acting. I'm like, and it's perfect because it prompts me to say the next line. Like I'm not that kind of, oh, that masseuse, right? Oh, the great lines. Also, another thing about it, from the moment he like comes out to the hotel and he's got his beard and he says like, doesn't he say something like "my usual suite, please" or something like
Yes,
that? And then
exactly.
he comes up, and that whole sequence from that till when I leave, it's just so classic Bond. You've got the champagne, he's shaving, right? You've got the bed there, it's beautiful setup. There's a bit of action, there's guns, there's a smash of the mirror. By the way, we did that smashing of the mirror 3 times. We
Mhm.
did that quite a few it was an ashtray. It's an ashtray he uses.
Yeah.
I remember that. And that was all that it was so nice. I remember it so clearly because I had to relive it so many times, like talk about it. So it is very nice. I'm just trying to think anything else. I remembered that Pierce Brosnan in between takes when there was quite a lot of time and they need to like change setup. So we break for a while. You know, some actors would want to go back to their rooms to rest. I didn't want to rest. I said, no, I'm not going back to my room. I'm staying on the 007 set. Thank you. I was like, I'm hanging around. I'm watching these people do their thing. So, and then, you know, I had a body double. Peaceful Fountains of Desire I had a body double. And I'm like, no body double coming on set. I'm staying on set. I wanted to spend every second on set. They weren't like dragging me off. So I stayed on set nearly all the time. And Pierce Brosnan, he didn't go back to his room a fair bit. He gave time to talk to me, which I thought was very nice. And he also went to the side and he had a table and he would play backgammon sometimes in between the setup. And I remember there was someone sat there that would wait for him. I don't know who he was. I'm sure that wasn't his job, just to play backgammon with Pierce Brosnan. But isn't that awesome? You're like a runner on set and you're like playing backgammon with Pierce Brosnan. That's like a great job. Yeah, he would do that. I remember asking him, "Oh, what are you playing?" Because I didn't really know what it was, but I know backgammon, I guess. But no, I don't know how to play it really. But yeah,
But
he
it's a
liked
nice tradition because Roger Moore did it with Cubby Broccoli.
Oh, did he? Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe there's something there.
Mm.
Oh right, no one told me that. But yeah, that is a nice tradition. No
There's a
one's
lot of
mentioned.
a lot of that behind the scenes shots of Roger Moore
Oh
constantly
right.
losing to Cubby Broccoli, even holding a sign, Cubby is now down $5,000 or something. So they really
Oh
play it
really?
for money. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
There were a lot of photos taken of me and Pierce on set, a lot, and with Lee Tamahori.
Mm.
Eon were very good in sending me like 4 photos that I could use willy-nilly, like I could use them as much as possible. And they were mine to use. I think 4 or 5 pictures, which were very nice of them. You know, they're
Mm.
very good like that. I can just use them however way I want. But I would love to have seen all the pictures. I don't know if that's ever possible, but there were quite a lot, which
I
was
don't
nice.
have seen many of that scene being filmed. There are not many behind the scenes shots of that scene.
I haven't seen, like, where are those pictures? There were a lot taken, so
Yeah, they
I
are
remember.
probably in the Eon warehouse somewhere in North London.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Mm.
And
But
you know what I think is so cool, what they got wrong, what they got right about the Bond movies is they could really make, I want to say, the small roles in terms of screen time, you know, and make them really famous. I mean, because many times if you talk to people about Die Another Day, Peaceful Fountains of, well, usually people can't remember the whole name, but they can remember the role. It was like with Dr. Kaufman in Tomorrow Never Dies, or other screen time small roles, and they really make them stick out. And I mean, is that something that you feel too? I mean, it's the Peaceful Fountains of Desire is something that people always remember when they talk about Die Another Day.
it's funny. My mother always says that because at the time I thought, oh, it's a small role in a Bond movie. You know, they say there's no small roles, and you know, there's only small
Right.
actors, right? I kept thinking, oh, it's a small role, so it's not really, it's going to be forgotten about. But it's weird. I don't know whether it's because of the color of the dress I wore, the fact that he just shaved off his beard and suddenly he was James Bond again. I really don't know. But my mother always tells me when I mention to people, oh, my daughter was in a Bond movie, and they ask which one, they might not remember the name. They're like, oh, yes, yes, yes. She wore like a pink dress. She had a gun between her leg. My mom always says everybody remembers it. I was like, really? Yeah. And it seems to be the case. It's really odd. I know. So it's interesting you actually say that, because that's absolutely true. That's like the power of Bond, or making something so like iconic, like that image of this pink dress, for example. I sent it to a few people actually, friends of mine, going, oh, guess what I found today? Do you know what this is? Everybody's like, are you stupid? This is the dress you wore in Die Another Day. I'm like, oh, really?
Really?
That easy to guess? I guess it's just maybe it's just such a good color. I'm not sure, but it was a perfect color. The other choice colors was, there was a dress that was blue, and then there was a dress that was like a gray silver color. And that was the dress that they went with. I was going to mention something else, but I forgot. Have I got anything else to show you? Okay, I'll be showing you so many things. I've always got things to show. But yes. Oh, by the way, I was in touch with somebody today. David Zaritsky. He says hi.
Hello.
You know
Hello, David. Of course. Yes.
And he has invited me. I wasn't going to go because I thought I wouldn't be free, but I agreed. I am going to attend his gather-all on August the 3rd. So I'm looking forward to that. That is, yeah, it's not too far away. It's maybe an hour and 15 minutes away from where I live. So I'm going to be going to that. I asked him if he knows you, and everybody seems to know each other in this Bond world. If you're
Yes, of course.
something. Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's why we always meet in this Golden Grotto here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
There's
the
lots of Bond
Grotto.
fans. Yeah.
Yeah, the Golden Grotto. Right.
Yeah.
What else can I share with you or tell you?
Well, I was wondering, you know, maybe if you could tell us, generally speaking, what do you think about, you know, the movie Die Another Day? You know, the whole thing, you know?
Oh, no one's really asked me that, you know. So obviously it's harder for me to critique it because I was in it. I have seen quite mixed reviews about it.
That's right. Yeah.
People saying it's probably not Pierce Brosnan's best one. Um, I quite liked it, I think. It was a little bit out there. I remember one of the Bond movies with Roger Moore was quite out there, Moonraker. But
Okay, yes.
I was very young. There's some funny things that go on in that movie. But I was very young at the time and I really enjoyed it. And I really found it entertaining. So it feels very like Bond-esque in many ways, Die Another Day. I didn't love too much. You know, I love Bond music. I think it's fantastic. So many amazing songs in James Bond movies, like amazing. So I was really I love Madonna, but I was really looking forward to Madonna. I couldn't believe Madonna was doing the song for the movie I was in. So I was a little bit disappointed with the tune compared to some of the others. Some of them are so amazing. Like I love the tune. Nobody does it better. What's that called again?
Yeah, Spy Who Loved Me.
Yes, The Spy Who Loved Me. And then so Madonna's one wasn't, for me it wasn't, but it was an international success, I believe. People were dancing to it everywhere. So it apparently so, right? Is that so?
I wasn't.
I know it wasn't. I heard it was very successful, but I really, really love Bond music. I think it's great. And the theme tune that was written by what's his face, the original theme tune. And then the music from Dr. No is amazing too.
You mean Monty Norman, you know,
Yes, that's right, Monty.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's one of the most iconic film tunes ever. You can play that anywhere and everybody will know what it is. Every single person. We used to dance to it when we were little. Like we used to do this jazz dance to it. It was that good. So I love James Bond music, and the opening sequences. Well, I thought the visual for the opening sequence was quite good, but I always enjoy those. I love the artistry behind it. But I was a tad disappointed with the track, but that's fine. It did well. It did the job, I suppose. It was Madonna. I like Madonna, but yeah, I was a little bit. It wasn't something I would be dancing to either.
No, not really Bond also. That's what a lot of people critique.
No, right. I don't know. It was like, I know. And what else about Die Another Day? You know, it's hard for me to watch really, but I did like, I like that they went, You know, you asked me a really hard question.
I mean, we love it because I mean, it's all over the place. The film's all over the place. It has so many elements, so many action sequences. David Arnold went over the top of his head with the music. I mean, it was really, really stylish. It was very electronic in parts. We had that in The World Is Not Enough, but Die Another Day.
There was a lot there. There was the fencing, the disappearing car, and then all the gadgets and stuff. It had all the elements that a Bond movie should have, right? Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought it was cool, and it kind of like reached some boundaries and like went a little, I really liked it. And there was something I was going to mention, just suddenly forgot about it. Yeah, I thought of something really good and now I forgot. Oh, anyway.
But the film was 2 hours of fun and entertainment. That's exactly why we go to the cinema. And that's what it delivered brilliantly. So that's what I love about the film. Yeah.
And it's disappointing what Pierce didn't do another, because I'm sure he had a few more in it to do.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
And he really is perfect for the role. And
he was born.
Yeah.
He was born for it. Absolutely. Yeah.
He was great with the role. He was James Bond, definitely, right? He was a good Bond. I did see recently on a poll that he was voted the worst Bond. Is that true? But there's so many polls, right?
Right.
So many.
We did the whole poll.
We could make a poll. We could make our own poll, couldn't we?
Yeah. Well, he's the best.
Yeah. We did make a podcast about Pierce, and that was around the time when that poll was like 2 or 3 weeks old, and we established that it's not a representative poll. You don't know how many people voted in that poll. It's random. Or when a newspaper does that, what is the best Bond song? Yeah, like let's say 250,000 people give their vote. That's not representative for the millions of Bond
Oh.
fans across the globe. So
To give a fair answer, you should have seen all Bond movies, or at least seen many of all of the Bond actors, and watch it. Like, so you guys are the best people to give the opinion, really. If you're a Bond fan and you really know Bond, somebody told me once that Timothy Dalton fits the Ian Fleming Bond from his books more than any. Is that true?
yes,
that's what I say.
What makes that? That's interesting. I've heard that because somebody told me that, and I thought, Timothy Dalton's a very serious actor. I think he came from stage and Shakespeare and super duper serious. But I remember seeing. Did he do 2?
Yeah.
Movies. Yes, I remember seeing one of them when I was quite young, and I quite liked it actually.
I love them. I love them both. Yeah.
Timothy Dalton. He had a good look too for James Bond.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I love Bond villains. No, aren't Bond villains like great? Like, am I a villain in it or not really?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Because I want to be a villain. I like to be a villain. Maybe she's both, right? This is a funny little thing. So in the script that I got given, Pierce Brosnan's he's meant to be like topless, and he's supposed to have a towel wrapped around him. It said in the script that he comes out of the shower, he's got a towel wrapped around him, and he shaves off his beard. And there's a knock on the door, and he has a towel around him, and Peaceful is there. And I just remember thinking, oh no. And I didn't know he was going to be wearing a shirt, but I just remember thinking, I was really nervous beforehand, going, oh my goodness, Pierce Brosnan is gonna have a towel around him and stuff. And then anyway, he didn't have a towel around him, and I was like, phew. Not that it would have been a problem. And by the way, when you're on set, as an actor, you're so professional, you're not thinking or doing anything. And I was very pleased with myself. I really rose to the occasion. Like I did not, it wasn't an issue being on set with all these big names. It really wasn't. I was doing my job, and it was fantastic. And, Pierce Brosnan made me feel very comfortable. He's a great guy.
But still, one would have probably appreciated the physique.
Oh, yes.
But they of course they wanted to sell the shirt. So that's probably why.
Oh, maybe. Does he appear without his shirt in the movie at all?
He does, yeah.
Yes.
But in that scene where you are
it's a very nice shirt.
Yeah. And in that scene where you are in, there's a lot of product placement.
The reason that would have been selling the shit. It's ever so funny. I actually have the picture somewhere here because I got these delivered. I had to order. Let me see his shirt again. I always look at these beautiful cufflinks and the shirt. I always admire the cufflinks and the shirt. It's beautiful clothing. It really is, down to, there's so much with the whole James Bond lifestyle, isn't there? It's like no idea.
But I was surprised that you actually said you had to return everything down to the stockings and everything, because usually
down to the stockings and my underwear. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because usually you hear these stories about, like I know Pierce Brosnan said this in one or a couple of interviews where he got to keep his Brioni suits. He even was he was even offered a car. He could keep the Aston Martin and so on. So I was surprised that you had to get everything back and didn't get to keep any memorabilia.
He's Pierce Brosnan.
It's called pampering the star.
Pierce Brosnan to be driving around an Aston Martin.
Yeah.
So yes. Right. There you go.
It's pampering your biggest star. Of course, they did it with every actor.
All the free watches and everything.
Absolutely.
And I just remember I remember that day I was working there. There was tons of Bollinger champagne. I was like, can I have one? No, I didn't ask anyone. There was tons of it, because obviously Bollinger, because that is featured in the scene, and there was lots of it there. They'd obviously given them a lot. But one of the perks of working on set and working on good movies. I had something else good to share. It crossed my mind, but I forgot. I'll tell you something interesting. So my father happens to live literally a stone's throw away from where Ian Fleming is buried. So I get to see, every time I go and visit my father, I visit the grave of Ian Fleming.
Mhm.
And I don't
That's
know
nice.
if you know that, was it a couple of years ago, his headstone was vandalized, and they
Mhm.
believe some fan of his, ripped off the covering that was on it. So my father saw it and reported it, was one of the people that saw it and reported it, right. Now, what's
Mhm.
interesting, he is buried, Ian Fleming, outside a church in Sevenhampton. 007 You wonder why it's called Sevenhampton. I mean, 007. I don't know, but people that knew Ian Fleming and the family seem to think this. They got the connection. I don't know. But do you know what the church is called? What the church is?
I don't
Where
remember. I really don't remember. I would have to look it up.
have you been? No.
No,
Well, it's the
haven't.
name of a saint. It's the name of a saint. So you could guess the saint's name.
There are so many.
But it's Ian Fleming. And what would be a good name for a church to be buried at? Is it coincidence? Probably.
Go on, tell me.
No, come on, I want you to guess it. You have to guess it.
There is no Saint Ian.
No, Ian Fleming is buried at a church in Sevenhampton in the United Kingdom, and the church has the name Saint something Church.
James.
Yes!
Yeah, there
Really?
we go.
Is that obvious?
Saint-
That's it. He's buried at St. James's Church. Now, how weird is that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice
that's a-
coincidence. Yeah,
Or not.
probably.
Isn't that strange? Though? I thought it was so strange. When I
Yeah.
went there, like, St. James's Church, as in James Bond. I know, right? Very cool, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so when I
Absolutely.
go and visit my father this year, I will visit Ian Fleming's grave to pay my
Cool.
respect.
It's
a really
nice that you do that. Yeah, it's really nice that you do that.
Well, I go
Yeah.
because it's a beautiful walk there, and it's
Mhm.
really nice. And they have like a farm nearby and what have you. And then they have all these flowers sprouting around. But somebody attends to it because every so often, well, it could be Bond fans, there are like flowers and things around, and it's quite interesting. But it's it's quite a nice headstone, and it's a little unique.
Mhm.
But it's an odd little graveyard because the gravestones are so old. And then yes, it's but it's interesting. It's so weird that I see it so often. It's odd.
Keeps
I
coming
must be
back.
the only Bond girl in the world that has visited Ian Fleming's graves.
That
I've
could be
visited it
true.
more than any Bond actor.
Mhm.
I've been to his headstone maybe 20 times, maybe more than any Bond fan. I don't know.
Yes.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing you pay the respects. That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Absolutely.
to. Why not? Yes.
Yeah. Rachel, thank you very much. You're a treasure trove of stories. I would love to have you back some point in the future to talk more about Bond and beyond Bond, because
Oh,
I think
yes,
there's much
absolutely.
more.
I have so many stories to share. I'm sure I can think of more. I'm sure I could find more little bits and pieces I can gather to show you. I have lots to share on James Bond, and it seems to grow and grow and grow more and more as the years move on. So that's exciting. Next time, perhaps I can wear for you the audition dress I wore when I auditioned for Die Another Day, because I just found it the other day.
Absolutely.
And I'm absolutely thrilled with this, aren't I?
Wow. Wow. Bond fans, there's a lot to look forward to. Subscribe to the Bond Bulletin. Don't miss an episode of the Golden Grotto podcast. We've got a lot of surprises in store for you. See you next time. Greetings from the Caribbean. Rachel, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.